$700, $1,500, same cartridge, same barrel length, same number on the chronograph. That's the dirty secret of 357 lever actions that nobody selling you the expensive one wants you to think about. The barrel generates velocity, not the receiver, not the finish, not the roll mark on the side. The barrel. Once you understand that one fact, the entire 357 lever gun market starts looking very different. Some of these rifles are charging you for capability. Others are charging you for a name. And today, I'm breaking down every major 357 lever action worth buying in 2026, telling you exactly which is which, and explaining why the best overall purchase costs less than most people expect. I'm splitting these into 3 tiers. Museum tier, beautiful guns that cost more than they perform. Working tier, solid rifles earning their price honestly. And smart money tier, the guns where your dollar works hardest. Let's start at the bottom. Museum tier. The Uberti 1873 reproductions, Cimarron, Taylors. Whoever stamps their name on the receiver, it's the same Italian-built toggle link action underneath. And look, these are genuinely attractive firearms. The case hardening is real. The octagonal barrels are well done. And the fit on a good example is impressive for a production gun. I'm not calling them junk, but that toggle link system? Winchester replaced it in 1892 because it couldn't handle the pressure. That's not my opinion. That's why John Browning designed the 1892 action in the first place. Stronger lockup, smoother cycling, fewer parts taking stress. The 1873 was obsolete before the 20th century started. So when you see these priced between $1,600 and $2,000, depending on configuration, understand what you're paying for. Cowboy action shooting competitors need this gun. The rules demand it. If that's you, buy with confidence. It's correct for that sport. Everyone else is paying premium money for the weakest action in this lineup. Pretty doesn't equal capable. Different claims entirely. Still in museum tier, the Winchester 1892. Now wait, the 1892 action is the best lever action ever made. I just said so. Why is the Winchester version in museum tier? Because Miroku builds a beautiful rifle and charges you accordingly. The current production 1892 runs about $1,500 and in some configurations pushes past $2,000. You're getting exceptional fit, gorgeous wood-to-metal contact, and the satisfaction of the Winchester name on a Browning-designed action. What you're not getting is more velocity. A 20-inch Winchester 1892 barrel and a 20-inch clone barrel firing the same 357 load produce the same number on the chronograph. That's physics. The bullet doesn't know what's stamped on the receiver. The tang safety and rebounding hammer they added for liability purposes? A meaningful portion of buyers try to remove those immediately. You're paying for features the market actively dislikes. If money is irrelevant and you want the fit of a Japanese-made precision rifle, this is genuinely excellent. I respect the purchase. But on a value ranking, paying double for identical ballistic performance is a hard position to defend. Working tier. The Smith & Wesson 1854 is the most feature-rich gun on this list. Threaded barrel out of the box, M-lock handguard, ghost ring sights, and a trigger that embarrasses rifles costing more. If you scored these by spec sheet alone, Smith & Wesson wins going away. Here's the problem. Independent testing keeps flagging the same issue. This rifle is pickier about ammo than it should be. Reports of feeding issues with certain .38 special loads pop up consistently enough that it's a pattern, not a fluke. The entire selling point of a 357 lever gun is load it and it runs. 357, 38 Special, whatever's on the shelf. A gun that needs you to audition ammunition before you trust it hasn't fulfilled that basic promise. At around $1,200 to $1,400 depending on variant, that's a tough pill. I think the 1854 will be a fantastic rifle in its second or third generation. Smith & Wesson knows revolvers at a level nobody else matches, and they'll sort the feeding. But right now, today, you're paying to be a beta tester on a platform where proven reliability is the minimum standard. Wait for the update, or buy one knowing you might need to break it in harder than the competition. Next, in working tier, the Henry Big Boy Steel. Henry's reputation is earned. American-made, buttery smooth actions from first round, and customer service that makes the rest of the industry look bad. The Big Boy Steel in .357 runs about $900 and will outlast you. Two things cost it points. First, the brass-framed Big Boy rifles weigh close to 8.5 pounds. The steel version is lighter, but we're still talking over 7 pounds for a pistol-caliber carbine. That's a lot of weight for a .357. Second, and this matters more, early Big Boys had no side-loading gate. Tube-only loading, one round at a time through the front. That's an 1860s reload speed on a 2026 rifle. Henry fixed this. Current .357 Big Boys have a side-loading gate. The fix exists, but my recommendation is specific. Make absolutely sure you're buying the side gate model, not old stock with tube-only loading. That distinction is the difference between a competitive rifle and one that'll frustrate you every range trip. With the gate, this is a solid buy. Reliable, smooth, well supported. It sits in working tier honestly. The Marlin 1894, also working tier, but barely missed the top. The story here is manufacturing resurrection. JM stamped Connecticut Marlins were legends. Remington-era Remlins were garbage, rough actions, crooked sights, stripped screws. That's not internet drama, that's documented quality collapse. Ruger bought the brand out of bankruptcy, rebuilt the tooling in Mayodan, North Carolina, and the rifles coming out now are genuinely good again. Cold hammer-forged barrels, proper rifling, not that old micro-groove nonsense. And multiple independent reviews confirm accuracy matching or beating the original JM guns. At around $1,350 MSRP, you're getting a 6.2-pound rifle with an 18.63-inch barrel, 9-round capacity, side loading gate, and the critical advantage of side ejection. That last part matters because it means a scope mounts low and centered without an offset. Every top-eject Winchester pattern gun needs workarounds for optics. The Marlin doesn't. This is an excellent lever action. It loses the top two spots not because anything's wrong with it, but because two guns below it solve a specific problem this one doesn't address out of the box. Smart money tier. The Henry Big Boy X exists because somebody at Henry asked a simple question. What if we built a lever gun for 2026 instead of 1876? Threaded barrel, fiber optic sights, synthetic stock, Picatinny rail, M-lock attachment points, all from the factory, all ready to go without touching a gunsmith. Here's why that matters right now, specifically in 2026. The federal transfer tax on suppressors dropped to zero as of January 1st this year. The $200 stamp is gone. That financial barrier that kept suppressors expensive and annoying, eliminated. Pair this rifle with a can and subsonic 38 Special loads. The 38 Special is already below the speed of sound before the suppressor does anything. The result is one of the quietest centerfire setups a civilian can legally own. Home defense, property management, practice without ear protection, genuine practical applications. The Big Boy X runs around $850 to $900 street price, weighs 7.3 pounds with its 17.4-inch barrel, and holds 7 rounds through a side-loading gate. It costs less than the Marlin, less than the Winchester, less than the Smith & Wesson, and less than the Cowboy reproductions, while offering more bolt-on capability than all of them. On a strict "what can this do for me per dollar" basis, the Big Boy X is as close to perfect as this category gets. Number 1. The gun that wins this ranking. The Rossi R92 is the best value .357 lever action you can buy in 2026, and it's also the cheapest gun on this list. That's not a contradiction, it's the whole point. It's a clone of the 1892 action, the same Browning design inside that $1,500 Winchester. Rossi builds them in Brazil, and depending on barrel length and finish, you're looking at roughly $650 to $850. The honest criticism: fit and finish doesn't match the Morocco Winchester or the Ruger-built Marlin. Some early examples benefit from a trigger job. The action might need 100 rounds to smooth out completely. That's real, and I'm not pretending otherwise. But here's what isn't different. A 16-inch or 20-inch R92 barrel produces the same muzzle velocity from the same .357 Magnum load as the Winchester sitting next to it at double the price. The chronograph doesn't care about roll marks. The terminal ballistics don't care about your finish quality. The deer doesn't know what you paid. You're getting roughly 95% of the performance for about half the money. And the 5% gap? It's in how smooth the lever feels in your hand and how pretty the wood grain looks, not in how the bullet performs downrange. For a working gun, a truck gun, a camp rifle, a prepper's carbine that shares ammo with your .357 revolver, the R92 is the rational choice, not the emotional one, the rational one. Drop your pick in the comments. Are you a pay-for-the-name buyer or a pay-for-the-barrel buyer? No wrong answer, but know which one you are before you hand over the cash. Because the physics settled this argument a long time ago. The price tags just haven't caught up yet. If you're thinking about that suppressor setup I mentioned with the Big Boy X, I'm putting together a full build video on that exact configuration. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.